just the two announcements. October 16th, we'll be hosting a Rivers Alive cleanup here in the city. Be meeting here at City Hall at 9 a.m.
including the resolutions that, items that Eric had covered. Mickey, second. John? Any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? So 3-1, motion passes. Next item is similar annexation request. It is a parcel adjacent to the one we just approved. So this second reading for this parcel will also include the resolution that has been agreed to by the property owner, the conditions that we're requiring. So can I have a motion to approve the second reading of the application 2021A06? A motion by Mickey, second. John? Any comments, questions? Otherwise, all in favor? All opposed? Okay, it's 3-1. Motion passes. So the property now is in the city. Unfortunately, we can't charge taxes yet until next year. All right, we'll move on to new business. We have an additional, a new annexation application, petition 2021-04. It's LOYD Development Services. Eric, you want to update the council and our visitors here on the request?
Yes, the piece in question is outlined in red on the map up there. It's immediately north of the Sage Hill subdivision. This is a first reading of an annexation. Annexations require 2 readings. The applicant does have a zoning petition also submitted to zone the property as traditional neighborhood development, which is the same as what the property to the north of it is zoned. There is a public hearing scheduled for September 7th at the Bluffs in Canton before the Cherokee Municipal Planning Commission, which time public comment will be accepted. And it comes to mayor and council on September 9th for consideration of zoning and consideration of second reading of annexation.
Okay, this is, again, the petition for the first reading of, it's right at 40 acres of property,
3998.
Right. And it's along Ball Run Highway.
Yes.
Just north of Sage Hill, which is our southernmost neighborhood.
Yes.
So let me go ahead and ask for a motion to approve the first reading of this annexation petition. Motion by John, is there a second? Second by Lee. Okay, any comments or questions? All right, all in favor of this particular motion? Okay, all opposed? Okay, that's unanimous, so we will have the second reading at our next council meeting. Meanwhile, you'll be applying for rezoning through Cherokee Municipal Planning Commission, and eventually the council will be able to vote on rezoning. The next item concerns surplus property. It's kind of interesting that even any city can't just throw junk away. You have to go through, or sell it, you have to go through a process. And the first process is for the governing body to declare the things as being surplus, so that they can either be auctioned or sold. So Eric has provided us with a list of a number of vehicles and worn out equipment that we are placing on hold. Do you want to summarize the equipment?
Right. In the forefront of the picture there, that is the trailer. Like I said, no wheels, broken axle, pretty rough shape. the Kubota sitting on it, or the old Bulldog sitting on it, does not have a motor in it. So we are proposing to take that, and then all the equipment in the upper portion of this, we would throw on that same trailer and just auction it on the GovDeals website as a lot. These are all broken push mowers and weed eaters and stuff, some dating back 10, 12 years of age, that are not. We would also ask council at the same time to authorize us, if nobody bids on this on GovDeals and comes and takes it off our hands, to be able to load it up on the trailer and take it to the scrap yard and just sell it for scrap and put the money in the general fund. The standalone items that we'll be auctioning would be the broadcast spreader, an old fertilizer spreader, and the 5-foot offset bush hog that is in working condition. We just don't have a tractor. So, request permission to surplus these items.
All right, this, you heard Eric's request. Can I have a motion to surplus the items discussed? Okay, motion by John.
Second.
Second by Lee. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Okay, that sounds unanimous. Next item, consider proposal for funding of a police department facility. We are, as a few of us, you were here for the work session, when we constructed our city hall back in 2008, 2009, the original architectural plans were for 3 buildings. And based on the cost of building just 2 of them, we opted to postpone the 3rd building, which would be designated as police department. So we've reached the point now where we need the space, and we are able to try to work out a financing deal. So Eric updated the council work session, but why don't you briefly tell us again what we're looking at tonight?
We currently still owe $834,000, just shy of $835 on this building. We would look at doing a refinance through the GMA lease purchase bricks and mortar program with Regions Bank for $1.7 million. Turn around immediately, of course, pay off the $834, and the cash proceeds would be used then to go through the state contract with Gordian and commence construction on our 3rd building. As you had mentioned, when we designed this building, we had a full set of biddable plans ready on that building as well, and the land is already graded for it. The price quote on the police department standalone is just shy of $689,000. The remainder of the $775,000 is backup power generation for all 3 buildings. We would hold that off to the end and make sure we were on time and on budget, and had the funding left. Weren't any change orders or hidden surprises as we move forward. If we needed to in the future, we could just step out and buy the generator, something of that nature. So we wouldn't do that in the onset. The proposal again is a 20-year amortization with 2.6% interest rate. What this does is it enables us to build that building, and I just got that new interest rate this afternoon, so it's going to be a savings. At the 3.1% that was originally quoted, the payment on the building would be $1,000 different than what it is today. So it'd allow us to go ahead and get the police department their own facility and give them room to start to grow and expand.
So, given the time frame, once council approves, how long would it be before we're able to move forward on getting to construction beginning?
I would say realistically, we're looking at 5 to 6 months. Regions has proposed that it would take 2 months to get through the financing arm of things. Then award the contract through Gordian and give a contractor time to mobilize, and materials are an issue right now, so I would say 5 to 6 months.
For information, the third building will be built beyond the tower on the main building, set back as far as this one sets forward, so it's nice and balanced, the architecture is, and, but it won't, for Botanical Garden people here, we're not going to be getting into the garden, but we'll be up against it. But that's been the plan for all these years. So with our police department just prospering and our intent to continue growing it, they need more space. And so I think we're all on board, but I need the council to at least concur by approving this proposal for funding construction.
And there have been questions on parking. A new parking lot is not part of this plan. What we would do in this is administrative staff would take over this back parking lot. Spare patrol cars would start being kept in the barn at Public Works. And on-duty officers would use the front parking lot as well as our customers. So it would actually, with this scenario, would actually increase customer parking in the front.
Any questions before we vote on this proposal? If not, could I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Lee. Second by John. No more comments? Questions? Okay, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that's unanimous. So we hopefully to move forward on that as soon as we can. But I made a comment during the work session is that we're going to get our architect to bring he had actually a little display of the full building originally, and we'll get that brought here and set it up so people can see it. But it really will it'll improve the looks of our facility here, I believe. The next item is considering the acceptance of infrastructure in a neighborhood here in Ball Ground on Carswell Street, Old Mill subdivision. This has been in place for a number of years, and we haven't been able to agree.
I think we missed development standards.
No, okay. Well, let's move on to this one. Let's
Okay.
continue since I started talking about it. This is the Old Mill subdivision, and a work session, Eric, he brought up the number of things that will be taken over, the city will be taken over, which is total about $1 million worth of value. So you want to give a brief summary of that as well?
Ken, they've asked to turn over Covington Drive. It's 2,850 linear feet at a value of $135,000. Harris Court, 845 linear feet. Both of these have 4-foot sidewalks for a value of $65,000. Water lines, 6-inch ductile iron pipe with 4 hydrants valued at $53,000. Stormwater, 1,400 linear feet with 12 structures at $84,000. The sewer lift station at $230,000, and sanitary sewer lines at $340,000. This neighborhood dates back to probably 2007, 2006, 2007. That's why these numbers are so low. That sewer lift station in there at $230,000. Today's build is about a $450,000 sewer lift station. So prices have really changed, but what they provide us with is what it costs them to construct it. It's a total of $908,718.75 that will be required to pick up on our books.
Okay, we did discuss this in the work session. Any further questions from council? motion to accept this infrastructure in this particular subdivision. Motion by John, second. Second by Mickey. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that's unanimous. And we'll move on, before we get back to the development policy, let's go ahead and move on to the additional part of Old Mill, which was to accept the deed to the sanitary sewer lift station there in Old Mill. Briefly, Eric?
We just accepted the lift station. This is to actually accept the property that it sits on, valued at $47,000. This is a change from our previous way of doing business where we just accepted everything on a final plat. Infrastructure like this now that comes to the city, we are requiring it physically be deeded to the city.
Okay, can I have a motion to accept the quick claim deed for this sanitary lift station? Motion by Andy, second. By John. Okay, all in favor of the motion? Okay, that's unanimous. So now, the city now owns lots of infrastructure and a little more property there in that development. Now, let me move back to the development standards, adoption of development standards policy. Eric and Chris have been working on this item for a while to come up with it's a document. It's got lots of pages to it, front and back. But this is just that gives our development code how residential and commercial and any kind of development happens in ball ground. We have it now in formal agreement. And you want to update that, Eric?
Again, this is our standard on roads, streets, sidewalks, our street tree requirements, our street light requirements. You know, it changes some things. We've always had a requirement for our neighborhoods to put in street lights. And our code requires sidewalks to be put on the street in front of the development where they border an existing public street. But now we're requiring streetlights to go out into those areas as well. A lot of this is for staff's benefit also. It's checklists that we will use internally when we're reviewing plans, when we are reviewing final plats. But it's a good tool for the developer as well because they can give it to their engineer and know exactly what kind of comments and remarks that we're looking for on the final plats and on the plans. If this is approved by Mayor and Council this evening, we will put it on the website in PDF format and accept public comment between now and the next meeting, at which time we'd ask for a complete adoption.
Well, certainly as we're growing and having more requests for information for development and how we needed this updated and we needed it detailed like we'll have if the council adopts it. So could I ask for a motion to approve the adoption? Okay, motion by John, second. Second by Mickey. Any questions or further comments? Okay, all in favor of the motion? All opposed? Okay, that's unanimous. We will have another reading in September. All right, next we've got a resolution that we're putting forth concerning the Department of Transportation and their decision to move toward building a truck route. This resolution is something that at this point, GDOT, the Department of Transportation, they want the city to acknowledge that once this truck route is built, that if we want it removed from the state system. Eric, you wanna follow up on that?
It's, if we don't remove it from the state system, even though we would have a designated truck route, trucks would still have the option. They could either come through downtown or use the truck route. In order for heavy truck traffic to be restricted to downtown, we would need to petition to take it off system, and then adopt an ordinance restricting heavy truck traffic in the area.
As we mentioned in the work session, you know, we approved this tonight, resolution, and let's say it takes 5 or 6 years before the truck route gets built. There may be a different council that decides not to do it. But for right now, we want to go ahead and put forth the request by GDOT to approve taking out this current street through Ball Ground off the state system if the truck route is built and opens. Now, a motion to approve that. Okay, John, second. All right. We just need to accelerate them doing that because it's not just heavy, noisy. It's the type of stuff that are in the trucks that are throwing bacteria everywhere, and it does not promote business in downtown. But anyway, we made a motion in a second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, the next item is amendment to our schedule of fees. Eric, you want to summarize changes?
What we went over in the work session, basically it's reestablishing and setting new fees for rezoning cases, variance applications, administrative variances done at the staff level, special land use permits, plan review fees, site plan review fees, and also updates building permit fees. So won't impact many of our residents at all, but it's more fee changes with the development community.
Well, making these changes will not affect our trademark logo where we roll out the red carpet, not the red tape. We still are going to move quickly on any kind of development issues that we have to approve.
And I'll add that they're still lower than most surrounding municipalities.
All right.
When I did the comps.
Okay, guys, any questions concerning these, the fee schedule, recommended changes? If not, may I have a motion to approve the amendment to schedule of fees? Okay, John, second? Second by Mickey. All in favor? Okay, all opposed? That's unanimous. Are the fee schedules placed on our website?
They will be.
So those will show up shortly then. We don't need a second reading tonight of those. Okay, the last item under new business is another resolution. Again, we discussed this at a work session. It has to do with fiber cable that's placed on right-of-ways in cities, where we actually now receive some fee for letting types of fiber providers use our right-of-way. The effort now is to actually remove most of the fees. You want to clarify that?
Basically, these fees are collected by the city under a Georgia DOT rule that sets the price per mile on what they have to pay. And these companies only pay it if they don't provide a service in the city. So if you have a telecom that's running a Ball Ground highway from Canton and it's wanting to go to Jasper and they run through Ball Ground's right-of-ways, it requires them to pay because they're not servicing any customer. The state collects the same fee that we do, so they're kind of, on state routes, they pay the state. On city streets, they pay the city. In the effort to promote getting broadband and more telecom services in different areas, there's a lobbying group that is pushing GDOT to change this rule to still pay the state $5,000 a mile on all the state routes, but to remove it from all the municipal routes so that they're free on the municipal routes. We just don't feel from the city standpoint that using right-of-way that the city has to purchase and that we then use for our water and sewer infrastructure, that we have to dig around every time we have a leak, every time we're digging into something, we're dealing with that underground. If they're not gonna serve our residents in the city, they need to pay for use of the right-of-way that the residents provide. This resolution, if mayor and council adopt, would go to the Georgia Municipal Association. We would be putting it with the resolutions from other cities and asking the Georgia DOT not to change the rule. This was actually brought up in the legislature for the last 2 years and didn't make it anywhere, so they're just trying a different route.
Okay, so let's consider approving this resolution to, it's resolution 05, Karen, is that right? It's in opposition to GDOT telecom rule change. Have a motion to approve the resolution to oppose. Okay, Lee, second by John. All in favor? Okay, that's unanimous, and hopefully we'll be able, all the cities working together through GMA will be able to convince the legislature not to take away our revenue source, but allow the state to keep theirs. So, okay, well that's all we have under new business today. At this time, I'd like to make a few comments. If you don't mind, I'm going to take my mask off because I don't think you can hear me very well. The COVID cases rising rapidly here in Georgia and across the country. One thing we have been tracking, the city tracks, is something the CDC had told us that looking at number of cases in the last 2 weeks per 100,000 residents. And so today we hit 385 in Cherokee County. When I look back at our July meeting, that number was 71. I look back at our June meeting with 45. And we fell below 100, which is the CDC recommendation to start kind of phasing out, backing off on masking and distancing because things were getting better. If you look back to January though, that number, which is 385 now, it was 993 cases in 2 weeks per 100,000. So I'm afraid we're going in the wrong direction. You look across the state at the maps, and North Georgia is not the hot spot yet, but we're changing so fast. We're going to start. That's why we're advocating masking inside City Hall. And you'll start seeing some signs up around town to distance. Even if you're vaccinated, distancing is the key part to not catching the virus. And but hopefully, I actually spoke with the governor in Savannah on Tuesday, and his experts are telling him that we'll probably have the peak in about 2.5 weeks, and then hopefully it'll start to. But again, when you're driving around town, you're going to start seeing the city advocating at least social distancing, even if you're vaccinated, because we know already people that are vaccinated that have developed COVID, and they're not as sick, but they still, it's not 100% guaranteed. Qualifying for council post 3, 4, and 5, and mayor will take place next Monday through Wednesday.
Just for your seat and 4 and 5, 3 is the following week.
Okay, the qualification for 3, that was Frank Hobler's position, will take place the following week. But for post 4 and 5, and for the mayor position, qualifying will be next week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And I just wanted to announce that I made a decision to attempt to have one more term with the city. We've got so many things going on now that, quite honestly, I just hope we can get finished, and I want to be involved in. So in all my years, and this is my 30th year, I have never announced my plans to run until qualifying time, but I've decided I'm so used to it. I mean, think about how long I've served, that it's so much of my life. So I hope I have a chance to serve one more term. As I mentioned, I just got back from Savannah, the GMA conference, and one of the programs dealt with small city youth councils. Well, a youth council is what I wanted to put in place starting in 2020, the pandemic. We backed off, but hopefully, after kind of getting inspired by some other cities that, and Mickey was involved in those programs. I'm hoping I hope we can set up a youth council by the end of this year, so that we can, having young people's input in a city, I think it would just be very helpful. You know, the older I've got, the more I learn from younger people, and I think I want to get people, young people interested in our city and participate and give us ideas. So I haven't come up with a name for it. Like Canton's called Canteen. I can't come up with a name for ball ground yet, but maybe we should put a contest out there to do it. But again, having a city youth council is a big priority, and hopefully we can get that done by the end of the year. I wanted to mention that. At this time, Lee, do you have anything you want to add?
Of course, I always like to thank the police department for what a wonderful job they do, and I'd like to thank the city for allowing me to go to GMA and had some good classes, and that's about it.
We learn every time we go, don't we?
A little bit.
John? Nothing? Mickey?
Yeah, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank the city, mayor, city manager for allowing me to go to my final GMA convention. For those that are possibly going to be taking our seats, I would recommend that you do that if you could every year. It's a great opportunity to meet councilmen, mayors from other cities, get a lot of ideas. It's really, I think it's one of the best things I do every year. Just to reiterate what the mayor was talking about, I went to a small cities meeting, and what they do there is they had 6 cities had 10 minutes, real fast, but 10 minutes to discuss something that they think is prevalent for small cities. And one of them was youth council. So something that we've always talked about, Eric and myself and the mayor council, but it's a program where they would mostly develop it through the middle school and high school kids. The lady that spoke from their city, they have 13 members on that youth council. And what that does is that works through the school's counselors. There's requirements for the kids to meet in school before they can even think about being on our council. So there are restrictions and requirements. I didn't get a whole lot more information because it only was 10 minutes long.
Short.
I do have the name of that city, and the person who runs there is there, and I told her we could get in contact with her to get some of their guidelines to help us to get along. So just wanna thank them for letting me go to that for all the years I got to go, and anybody who takes my seat or anybody else's, strongly recommend that you do it. It's a great weekend. And also to tell you that, fall season is here. You'll see our fields being used again. Just for those that wonder who's out there, we have a ball ground Busy Dean League that's running a fall league out of there now. So they'll be using Field 1 or Lions Club Field. They pretty much use it, they'll start using it this weekend, I believe. It'll be almost every night and Saturdays through October. And if you look down at the lower field, Field 2, you'll see that there's girls on there. That's Creekview Junior Grizzly program for softball. They also use it, they started August 1st and they run through October also, every night, Monday through Thursday, and then on Friday there's a ladies league that goes out there that's been going on for quite some time. So, just thought I'd tell you in case you're wondering who is out there and what they're doing. That's the leagues we have. Our gym will start, we're packed already, but we moved some of our folks out of there for our county league, CYB, will start soon. And they use our gym for that, mostly on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. So if you see a big crowd there and wonder what's going on, usually it's packed down there every Saturday and Sunday.
There'll be signs for distancing.
Yeah, yeah, well, we'll
But,
deal with that. as
right
well.
now, yeah, we're gonna make sure that it,
Yeah.
ask that it be honored.
They were good about it. We did a Christmas tournament in there, and I must admit, they followed all the guidelines we asked them to do, so if they wanna play sports, they're gonna have to follow the rules, but anyway, that's pretty much all I have.
Well, thank you, Mickey. He is so right about the GMA. The Georgia Municipal Association, I mean, every state has such a association. GMA is the strongest one in the country. And it's so, they provide so much education for people in cities that, you know, everything changes. I mean, you take a course, 3 years ago, it's like, well, I don't have to learn anything else now. Well, no, it's all different 3 years later. It's so changing, but GMA does a good job, and I appreciate Mickey going and taking a course, even though he's stepping out of the city governments. But it's very all of us have attended GMA conferences and training, and it's really very beneficial for us to have that.
Well, I took 2 courses down there. One was on customer service in the city, and the other one was environmental sustainability. And the knowledge you get, I mean, thank goodness they hand handouts, because it's really interesting. So come back with a whole, I come back charged up. So it's really good.
Okay, thank you. Andy, anything you want to add? Let me call Darryl. Anything you want to bring up?
Nope, I think we're good, fortunately for the city.
Chris?
Happy to be here, staying busy, things are good.
Well, we're glad to have Chris. It's been a few months now that he moved from being a one day a week city employee to full-time now as our chief planner, and it's so nice to have somebody so talented in your position, so we appreciate you being here. Okay, at this time, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. I'll try it again, a motion to adjourn. Microphone on. All right. Again, thank you for attending.